The Pittsburgh Steelers, according to Caesars Sportsbooks and FanDuel, 7.5 win over under heading into the draft. Even before you go, they'll probably add some talent in April, so that will boost anything. If you're looking at the team right now, I think we both have to agree, and maybe you don't, but I feel like you do. 7.5. What are we even talking about right now? The Pittsburgh Steelers have drastically improved from last season, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is coming from a dude who is really like pessimistic typically whenever it comes to the Steelers and just
True.
like the overall outlook of the team in general. 7.5 kind of feels low. Like it feels really low. I do agree with you. I feel much better about this team, at least heading to the draft, than I did last year. Obviously, there's still a couple holes that the Steelers need to fix and patch up. Not a fan of the quarterback move, but I've kind of come down on the Trubisky signing. 7.5 feels low, and that is banking that Mike Tomlin is going to have his first losing season as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this is also his first season where he's going into week one without a Hall of Fame quarterback. So we will definitely have to see how those things kind of develop and pan out. I thought it was interesting though, because like normally the Steelers are good for right around that like 8 to like 9.5 win range. Their number last year was set at 9.5, which cashed, by the way, straight cash, homie.
Beautiful.
That's a full game under 500 because like with the schedule expanding to 17 games, they're basically saying, hey, like if the Steelers maybe get lucky with like 2 of their games next season, they're going to be slightly above 500. I'm of the opinion that the Steelers can play well enough defense that hopefully they can do a little bit more on offense this year. And like I just don't expect this very steep drop off. I don't expect them to be a playoff team next year, but I certainly don't expect them to be under 7.5 wins. Are you kidding me?
I 100% expect them to be a playoff team next year. Well, and I don't understand why people have that assumption, and you're not alone with that. There's a lot of people talking right now about how the Pittsburgh Steelers, fans and not fans, will not be a playoff team next season. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can not only make the playoffs, but I think that they have a chance to win the AFC North because they have an opportunity to fix their defense. Because we saw what their defense could do when it's good. I mean, you look at 2 years ago, that defense was possibly the best in football. You have a lot of those pieces returning. You added Miles Jack in the middle, which was the obvious glare for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense last season. I hope that he helps a lot. Again, big question mark, but a confident question mark. The defensive line, if it could stay healthy, big question mark, obviously, but some upside, some hope there. I hope a second-year jump for Isaiah Loudermilk is pretty significant, along with a couple other pieces. I think the cornerback room got better and could still improve. And whether people like it or not, I think that even if Terrell Edmunds is still the option, sitting here right now with the possibility that it's not him makes me feel better. Just makes me feel like there's higher upside. Not, the ceiling or the floor is obviously a lot lower without Terrell Edmunds there, but I think the ceiling is higher without Terrell Edmunds there. So 7.5, that's a joke. I would take that easy money, throw it all on there. You're Mike Tomlin. First off, the Pittsburgh Steelers don't lose with Mike Tomlin, and you can hate Mike Tomlin all you want for whatever reasons you want to hate him for, and you can make the argument because everybody does. Oh, Mike Tomlin doesn't win in the playoffs. Well, he gets them to the playoffs pretty much all the time. So you could pretty much guess that they're going to win more than 7 games. And I know that you hate him, man, but Mitchell Trubisky could win some football games if need be. More than 7.
I want to make this very clear. I do not hate Mitchell Trubisky. I just do not think I don't think he's the answer at quarterback. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope he's a very good bridge quarterback to Desmond Ridder, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. I just don't think him sitting a year in Buffalo and having a bunch of people say good things about him automatically makes him a good quarterback, because he was not a good quarterback the last time that we saw him.
He wasn't a good quarterback the last time that we saw him, but when he first came into the NFL, he was a good quarterback.
No.
Yeah, he was.
But to your defense, though, you really only need Trubisky to play behind a really solid defense and hopefully establish the run better in 2022. If he can just not turn the ball over and manage a game very, very well, they're not asking him to go out there and throw 300 yards and 4 tutties every week. Like, I feel like that is the absolute wrong way to go whenever it comes to Trubisky.
I don't think the offense got better. I don't think there's any part of me that believes the offense is going to win games this season. It's going to be the defense. Yeah. I think the offense got dramatically worse. The defense got a lot better, but they did what they finally were supposed to do. Like, Mitchell Trubisky was just supposed to have the best defense in football, and he just can't lose games. And a couple weeks ago, we were like, oh, well, he still has the worst defensive or terrible defense. But that offense, I mean, he could stand back there all day long. And you better go draft Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder, because they're just going to have to run the football, because Najee Harris can't take every handoff. Who are you throwing the ball to? Deontay Johnson? Chase Claypool? Well, they both have double coverage because there's nobody else on the field. Pat Fryermuth's about to catch 15 touchdowns. That offense is bad.
You know, one interesting thing, I'm looking at the opponents right now. We don't quite yet know the schedule of like when and where. Not where, but like when they'll be playing everybody. The furthest west they have to go this year is Indianapolis.
Beautiful. That's what I'm saying. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. That schedule is not, last year's schedule, they made it to playoffs last year with a terrible team. I get what Ben Roethlisberger is. I'm not trying to downplay Ben Roethlisberger, even though you could make an argument that Ben Roethlisberger's impact on this team was both good and bad. You make the playoffs, they have the second hardest schedule in football. This year is nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. So 7.5 wins. Joke. What do you think? What would you say their final record is? Because you don't believe they get into the playoffs. So what would their record be?
I'd say like 9-8.
9-8, a 9-8 team. What do you think makes the playoffs in the AFC this year?
I'll go Cleveland. I'll go Cleveland, Buffalo. Until I'm proven wrong, Kansas City.
No, well, yeah, obviously.
Cincinnati.
Wait, did you start that with Cleveland?
I did.
What if Deshaun Watson doesn't play?
I think Deshaun Watson's going to play. I think Deshaun Watson will be suspended probably between 6 to 10 games, and then they're going to fight and get that down to a slightly lower number. I think they're going to hang on to Baker Mayfield or Jacoby Brissett, who they went and grabbed in the offseason, is going to kind of like handle that team for whatever time period they need to. Then they're going to hand the keys over to Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson is going to do Deshaun Watson things.
You might be the only person in all of Steelers Nation that believes the Cleveland Browns aren't going to be the Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to ruin.
The problem is that we were hyping up Deshaun Watson as this great savior for the quarterback position, right? Like in Pittsburgh. If you saw Deshaun Watson in black and gold, the Steelers immediately become a threat in the AFC. No?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay, the Browns have a significantly better roster almost everywhere you look. Besides quarterback, they are significantly better. Everywhere,
I agree with
almost everywhere.
I agree with that. I agree with all of that. Yeah, right. But we've been here before.
So how should I feel when they add one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL?
Everything you're saying
about them, right?
Everything you're saying makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, we've been here before. We've been in these situations.
Deshaun Watson.
Not with Deshaun Watson, but with other quarterbacks that should have been as good as Deshaun Watson. They've had their opportunities with guys, and they have not worked out. Who
has been a quarterback that's been close to Deshaun Watson on their team? Nobody. Literally nobody.
But they have destroyed plenty of quarterbacks, including 2 first-rounders and a second, and to the point of like lost the NFL chance. Brady Quinn never even got an opportunity. And say what you want, Brady Quinn
was not a good NFL quarterback.
But in today's NFL, Brady Quinn would have been a very good NFL quarterback.
Stop. No.
Why do you think that? What makes you feel that? What makes you feel that way? He had a strong arm. He was mobile. He was
at best a game manager. At very, very best. He woke up every day and wish he could be Alex Smith.
Yes, exactly. But in the
But he
NFL
wasn't.
when he came into the NFL, Alex Smith couldn't make it. You couldn't make it as an Alex Smith. He came in when an NFL where you had to be Peyton Manning. There was no room for. I mean, even Drew Brees was like defining things. People were like, "Oh my gosh, Drew Brees leaves the pocket. This is nuts. Who does this?" Brady Quinn was an Alex Smith. I mean, Alex Smith took a team to the Super Bowl. I don't care what you say about Colin Kaepernick. I think Colin Kaepernick's a good quarterback, but Alex Smith took that team to a Super Bowl, and he pretty much did the same thing with the Chiefs. He got the Chiefs where they need to be to make the playoffs. Then he handed the keys to Patrick Mahomes. Alex Smith's a good quarterback. Alex Smith in Cleveland would have won some games. He would have won some games. So they've ruined Brady Quinn. I think they ruined Brady Quinn. I think Brady Quinn had an opportunity. I think in today's NFL, Brady Quinn does a lot better. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but I'm saying he might be Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky right now has a starting job. Deshaun Kaiser didn't even get an opportunity.
Bro, get out of here. Oh, my God. Stop the podcast. If you're going to bring up Deshaun Kaiser.
But you have to look at where they came in. I mean, that's a second-round pick.
Okay, the Steelers ruined Mason Rudolph. He's a second-round pick.
We agree on that all the time. And he's third-round pick.
They did not ruin him because he wasn't a good quarterback. There's no ruin. He did it himself.
No, I don't think that. I think that Mason Rudolph was ruined by the atmosphere of which the Steelers presented him. Like, Steelers fans hated him from the jump. Ben Roethlisberger hated him from the jump. Those are you need two things on your side to be a successful quarterback.
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, what about Josh Dobbs? Josh Dobbs was a fifth-round quarterback. Okay, you're not supposed to be good as a fifth. Landry Jones did what he needed to do, but even Landry Jones was not a second-round pick. You're going deep diving into quarterbacks here. Mason Rudolph's your only argument. Deshaun Kaiser is a second-round pick, early second-round pick. He was
Deshaun Kaiser should not have been a second-round pick.
But that's what people will say in 3 years about every quarterback in this draft. But in 10 years, when Desmond Ridder doesn't work out for the Detroit Lions, you want to know what they're going to be saying? The Detroit Lions ruined Desmond Ridder. That's exactly what they're going to be saying. You know that's what they're going to be saying because that's what happens. You could make. I mean, Tom Brady is a crazy example, but you can make it in the NFL if you are surrounded by the things that you need to become good. You're good enough to get to the NFL. I don't think the Cleveland Browns have anything ever to say, we put you in a position to succeed. I mean, heck, Baker Mayfield still has a career ahead of him. And the Browns did everything they can to just destroy that career. Everything in their power to destroy that career.
I think they set him up in a system to where he just needed to not turn the ball over, and he still managed to do that. And like they somehow still went to the playoffs. We're forgetting. They took the Chiefs down to the wire in the AFC Championship game. They took them down to the wire.
Yeah. That's my point. Is I think Baker Mayfield, when is good, he's not good, but he's good enough. Like, Baker Mayfield should start in the NFL. By no means, I don't think he's a backup. Not last year. Last year was rough, but think about what they did to him. They put him out there with an injury. They basically tried to hide his injury all season long and downplay how serious it was so that he looked like the bad guy. And then in the offseason said, hey, screw you, man. And then when he was like, okay, well, can I at least get a fresh start? Which all 31 other teams would be like, yes, you could go get a fresh start because we took a first overall pick on you. We realized we're in a better spot without you. We're still going to give you an opportunity. You want to know what they said? Nah, brah, we good. You could sit behind Deshaun Watson because maybe we'll need you. This is not an organization that puts their players in position to win.
I agree historically, and we do need to wrap this up. I think at the end of the day,
I'll argue this all day. What you talking about? Need to wrap this up.
The Browns have proven themselves to not be that great of an organization, right? But the last few years, they have slowly but surely turned themselves around. Now, you can argue what success should mean for the Browns compared to the Steelers, this, and that. Look, the Browns have won more playoff games than the Steelers in the last 3 years.
True.
True. And you look at that roster, and I think we can all agree that Deshaun Watson is an upgrade over Baker Mayfield. No?
A huge upgrade.
Okay, so you pretty much the same roster, pretty much the same people running the show there. you throw Deshaun Watson in the mix, and I'm just saying they should be a very good football team. They should.
They should.
And to a lot of the people's comments in the chat, they are paper champions every single year.
Every single year.
But they have not had a Deshaun Watson quarterback every single year. And I really think that's where things will start to shift and change.
All right, so I look at again, just like from the start. I everything you're saying makes 100% sense. Mm-hmm. There's just it is like improving until otherwise. Mike Tomlin's not going to have a losing season. The Cleveland Browns are not going to do as well as you believe they're going to. But I will give you that Deshaun Watson would have made the Pittsburgh Steelers a Super Bowl contender. So maybe there's a maybe. There's a maybe.